YouTube. I don't go to work until 3:30, so yay for me. Alright, this is going to be part 3 of Sex Talk 101 episode 67. And that is the pickup where the last 2 episodes left off. That's going to be young men versus older men. Now, part 1, I gave you the sum history on why men from the age of 18 to 29 lose when it comes to the opposite sex with women. Part 2, I talked about how guys use the internet to try to stop guys that are much older than us from always stealing their opportunities. Now here we're going to talk about something that every young man always gets into an argument with and always lose. That is the money, the power, and the respect aspect. Because usually by the end of the day, that's pretty much what you're trying to attain is power, money, and respect. Now, you see, when these older men sit you down like they do with me and they explain things to you about how stuff is supposed to go, you listen to it because you ain't got no other choice. Now, here's where a lot of men complain about the money aspect, that when they get a job, and this happens a lot because they ain't the first one to say it, and ain't the first one to think it. There have been others before me, way before me, that have got to this way of thinking. A lot of men from my generation that are in their 30s now, a lot of them feel like that because they had to get their first job and their second job, nobody really helped them get their job, and they feel like that when they get their first and second job by themselves, why should they have to listen to someone if they made the money themselves? And you see, if you are living in your dad's house or apartment, then that kind of gets discredited because you don't have your own house and your own apartment. Until you can get your own shit, they're going to continuously discredit it. Now, when they try to tell you about, when you complain to them about a woman reject you, and I think we all can relate to this on some, not so much emotional level, but on a personal level, you can relate to the fact that a female rejected you. And when you take your complaint to your dad or your granddad, you take your complaint in general to men in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s, even sometimes 80s. Usually they'll respond by telling you, why don't you just go find a woman that don't have a boyfriend, that's not engaged to get married. Now, if that was if we had a time machine and we went back to 1952, that would actually be possible. Not today in 2019. And I feel like a lot of men that's in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s and 80s right now have no idea, no clue that the vast majority of women already have boyfriends. Think about it. When they tell you, go get your own woman, go get your own girlfriend, maybe in a movie or in a television environment, that's actually possible. Now, unless you get a passport and you plan going 10, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 miles outside the United States of America just so you can find a woman that don't have a boyfriend, yeah, look how much trouble you're going to go through just to do that. That's the first problem wrong with them saying it. The second problem with them saying it is that it's the vast majority of women, as in 80% of women. So when you go to a 24-hour fitness gym, I don't care if it's 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym, Club Bay, Club Onyx, UFC Gym, LA Boxing Gym, I don't care if it's the damn YMCA. I don't care if it's the mall or the park. You're going to meet a woman 99.9999% accurately at random, and whether she communicate to you or don't communicate to you that she have a boyfriend, you're not going to know. Because when a woman first meets you, she's not just going to straight out open her mouth and say, by the way, I have a boyfriend. Now, some women will tell you right off the bat, by the way, I'm seeing someone. She won't straight out say the word boyfriend or lover or mate. She'll just say, I'm seeing someone. Now, to me and you, that's, it all depends on how you look at it. Some guys are like a beta males. They get in their feelings and they say that's rude and disrespectful, and it is. But at the same time, you met a woman at random. So then again, it can't be rude and disrespectful, because if it's at random, what can you do if it's at random? And it may seem and feel like for most of your life that every time you meet a woman, she has a boyfriend. And a lot of the older men will tell you in their 50s, in their 60s and 70s and sometimes 80s, they'll tell you the woman just lies. Which, they do have an honest point to that. Which I'm going to bring in this video. They do lie. And you see, the reason why women lie is because if they don't find you physically, sexually attractive, if she's just not attracted to you and you're not her type of man, then that's just a reality of the problem. Now, you might feel like that she give you all these conversations, she talks to you, and you want to know why on earth am I being, I get a conversation, but you don't want to take it to the next level. That's a problem to most men. Now, you shouldn't feel bad because you're probably not the only guy that has that. There's probably maybe 10, maybe 15, 20 other men that have had the same problem as you. Why? And about 85 to 90% of the time, every time they go to a gym or the mall or the movie theater or the park or the beach, they meet a female that they find physically, sexually attractive. Doesn't matter if it's a black woman, a white woman, or a Mexican woman, or an Asian woman. And almost 85 to 90% of the time, you're going to hear, I'm seeing someone or I have a boyfriend. Now, I would say that 60% of the women tell the truth, and the other 40% are full of shit. They just want somebody that's rich and famous, and that is a part of the 20%. And they don't know how to open their mouth and say it the way I'm saying it, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, that they have unrealistic expectations between the ages of 18 to 25 or 18 to 27. Usually if a girl gets around 27, 28, 29, usually those expectations begin to drop and dwindle because she's getting into her 30s, or if she's already in her 30s, those expectations have dropped down to 70%. So you're seeing that there's a case of these guys will most likely tell you that. And the reason why I'm telling you, you can't always listen to what these... Now, I'm not saying don't listen to baby boomers and Gen Xers. What I'm saying is take what they say at face value, probably 70 to 80%, not 85, not 90, not 95, and not 100% face value. Because even though they may have the vast majority of the answers, they're not always right. They're not always correct. And a lot of times they don't want to accept the reality that they're not always right. And, let's talk about why I said in the last video that they pressure you to get a car thinking that's going to help you get the women that you think you're going to seek out. It's the same thing with this. They'll tell you, go get you your own girlfriend. That's not possible. Not when you got women being influenced by television and film, books, internet, and social media. When the vast majority of women are influenced by that on a huge level, you're at a disadvantage as a man. Because even if you can get a house, an apartment, even if you can get a car, and even if you can get 2 jobs, save money up, and do all the right stuff, the truth still is not simple. That means even if you do all the right stuff, there's still a strong 80% chance you're still going to have to get rejected. Because a woman just can't make things easy for you right off the bat. And you see, a lot of these older men will tell you, and here's another thing that you got to stop listening to these older men about. And that is, if a woman gives you sex on the first night, on the first date, that she's a hoe. Okay, the reason why a lot of these men that are in their 50s, and their 60s, and their 70s, and their 80s know that information, because once upon a time they used to be me and you. Once upon a time, they used to be in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s once upon a time. And they had sex with women that were like that. So when they tell you don't try to break up a guy and his girl because if you get the girl, maybe one day she's going to cheat on you, that is true. But that's a double-edged sword. Because there are cases where the guy actually breaks up the guy and the girl and gets the girl, and then for whatever reason the guy cheats on the girl once he gets the girl. So there's cases that they don't tell you about. They always tell you, oh, the woman always cheats. Yeah, the woman does cheat, but you got some men that cheat too. It ain't just always, oh, the woman always cheats once the guy breaks up the guy and the girl to get with the girl. Once the guy gets the girl, there are cases where the guy will cheat on the girl, even though people say, but you finally got the girl, so why cheat? There's cases of it that they don't tell you. And you see, when they tell you that, it's because they used to do that type of behavior. and they don't want you to repeat that history of it, which we can say the word hypocrisy, hypocrites, because you can't tell somebody not to do something and you did it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Extreme cases 25 to 30 years ago, they're telling you, oh, don't do this, don't do that. So when they tell you go get you your own girlfriend, there's no such thing of that. And there's proof of evidence of it. Because I just told you, 60% of women are telling the truth when they say they have a husband or a boyfriend. The other 40% out of that 80% of women are just full of shit. They just watch too much television, too many Hollywood movies, read too many books, and too much social media nonsense. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get them a high value man, and they don't want to settle for someone that's on the same level. They want someone that's 2 or 3 levels up higher than them because they think they're entitled to it. That 40% of women who lie are women who end up being in their 30s and their 40s complaining that I'm 35, I'm 38, I'm 40, I'm 42 years old and I'm still single. That's what happens to those women for being stupid and delusional. Because the reality is they're basing that off of something, and they're not telling you. A lot of times they're watching television or movies or reading books or getting that stuff off the internet, and that's what they're basing it off of. Now, let's get to why I say you should never listen to them when they tell you if a woman has sex with you on the first night or on the first day, she a hoe. Not every damn woman is a goddamn hoe. Okay, you got a vast majority of women who do have too many tattoos, too many piercings that, dress real slutty and skanky. Let's be honest here. Let's put our cards on the table while playing a card of blackjack. There are some women that are whorish and slutty. But don't make no mistake about it. These men that are in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s and even their 80s, if they could be young again, if they could be in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s all over again, they would do it in a single heartbeat. They would probably swear up and down, nah, youngster, I've been there, done that. I would never go back to that. But some of them, when they don't get no pussy in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s, they always talk about back in my day, I used to get all the bitches and all the hoes. And they love to brag to young men about that. I'm just trying to explain to you how this works. You see, if you take a woman and she give you some ass on the first day, on the first night, you're not going to be ending up like the guys that you see at work, the ones that are sexually frustrated, the ones who bitch and complain about no one paying them no attention because you got you some ass. Now, when you turn down women who give you ass, you always hear these men tell you, man, you need to make a challenge out of it. See, here in the black community, the only race that gets told, oh man, that's weak, man, that's easy, man, make a challenge out of it. Realistically, biologically, and logically, don't no man want no goddamn challenge. I mean, I'm going to tell you what a challenge is, for those that don't know. When you got to pay your bills every 30 days, that's a challenge. The minute you start paying rent at an apartment, you got to get evicted and kicked out onto the street. You have a house. Every single year you got to pay a property tax for that land, or the bank comes in and repossess your house. Then you ain't got no house. You get a car, you don't just buy a damn car off the lot like 50 Cent did in the movie Get Rich or Die Trying, because you got what they call car payments. And you might have to pay that lease for about 5 to 10 years. And that's just one damn car. You try to rent a car and you get into a car accident, you're going to be paying the damages of the car. So there ain't no getting off for free for that. You turn around, you got bills you got to pay. You got water, you got gas, you got electricity, you got water. You got a cell phone bill, you got to pay your cell phone. You got a house phone, you got to pay the phone bill. You want cable, got a cable bill you have to pay. You don't pay these things, they cut the service because you're not paying for it. So realistically, logically, and biologically, no man wants no damn challenge. And the last thing a man wants is for a woman to make him go 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, not getting no ass. Because then these same individuals who tell you you got to get a woman that makes it a challenge be the same ones laughing at you, telling you, oh, youngster, if a woman make you go 6 months, 9 months, a year, youngster, she playing you. She a hoe. Okay, if the girl was a hoe to begin with in the first place, then why on God's green earth should I just sacrifice that opportunity to get some ass and go 6 months to 9 months to a year or 2 years not getting no ass, and then you tell me I should not wait that long? And you see, the problem that you have is you have a continuing cycle where you do the same thing over and over and over. Next thing you know, it's 5 years later, you can't even get sex from a woman. All of a sudden, it's 10 years later, and a lot of these older men that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, sometimes 80s, they kill me with this. Oh man, you 30 years old and you ain't got no wife, you ain't got no kids, you ain't got no grandkids, you ain't got married. You know, they kill me with that. But you said that you wanted it to be a challenge, right? You said find a woman that would challenge you and make it challenging. And to me, only in the black community did you get this ignorance and bullshit fuckery. You look in the Latino culture, you know, it's affected the Latino culture just a bit. You don't see it too much in the white culture because they don't play that shit. You don't see it in the Indian culture because they don't play that shit. You only see it in the black community. And that's where you see the ignorance and the stupidity. They tell you, get you a black woman that'll make it a challenge. Then these black men complain and say the woman is too ghetto. The woman is too difficult to deal with. She want to be independent. No. You told a lot of these men to go find a woman that's a challenge, and they found a woman was a challenge. The problem was the woman made it too challenging. Now these men complain that it's too much of a challenge. Either you want a woman that's going to challenge you, or you're going to get a woman that's not going to challenge you. One or the other, not in between. And when you figure out that this is all about power, when you figure out this is all about control, you have to now dissociate yourself from them. Because all they're trying to do is control you and all your actions. And then they think it's funny that you go 5 years not making a home run, or you can't make a touchdown, or it's 10 years later you can't make a touchdown, or you can't make a home run, or it's the final buzzer at the 3-point line and you got to hit a 3 to tie the game up or send the game into overtime. They think that's funny. And then they come to you and tell you you're 30 years old, you're 35 or 40 years old, and you still ain't got no kids and no grandkids. You still ain't got into no relationship or no marriage. And a lot of times they be the main culprits and the cause of you going 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, not able to strike when the iron's hot. It's like what Eminem said in this rap song. You only get an opportunity only once in a lifetime. And you may never know when you may never get another opportunity. It'd be 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, before somebody comes along and gives you an opportunity. And you see, when you get the money, let's talk about the money aspect. A lot of men don't like to be told what to do with their money. A guy gets a car, and a lot of men in their 50s and 60s and 70s and even 80s do this. Well, the kind of car you got takes up too much gas. Fire you, I get this kind of car. And a lot of the guys, not in their 20s or 30s, but guys in their 40s, be like, with all due respect, sir, it's my car. I'm going to buy whatever car I want to buy. And you usually get guys in their 50s, and their 60s, and their 70s that give you that look like, okay, I try to help you out, try to give you some advice. And you see, when you try to tell somebody what to do with their money, it's a contradiction. And I'm not talking about if you live inside the house and you have to follow your father's and grandfather's rule. I'm talking about you finally got your own house and your own apartment, and they're still trying to tell you what to do with your own money. That right there is rude and disrespectful. Because if I'm outside the house and I got my own house and my own apartment, you shouldn't be trying to tell somebody what to do with their own money. But they feel the need that because they're much older than you, as in 20 to 30 years older than you, they feel like they can tell you what to do. And often at times that causes a confrontation, because the rule is if you're an adult, adults can't tell other adults what to do. Adults can tell people that's in their 20s and 30s what to do. but not somebody that's in their 40s. Because at that point, you've been on this earth for 3 decades, you've earned some type of respect. So you see where the problem come in. The guys who get pussy right off the back from a girl on their first day, those guys don't be sexually frustrated. Those guys don't end up going 10 years, 15, 20 years of sexual frustration. Because they figured it out. All they're trying to do is have power and control of another generation. And when they try to tell somebody what to do with their money, that's a convenient problem. Now, let's get to the respect of it. Now, when you finally accomplish all there is to accomplish, right? Pay attention to how they just stay around you when you got your own house and your own car. There's 2 types of baby boomers. There's baby boomer alpha males, and then there are baby boomer beta males. I'm going to say it again. There's 2 types of alpha males. Not alpha males, there's 2 types of baby boomers. Baby boomer alpha males, baby boomer beta males. The ones you need to watch out for are the ones who give you all the advice, and after you accomplished everything, they're still standing around with their hands stuck out expecting you to give them something back in return. The ones you need to listen to are the ones who tell you, don't stop after you just get a house and the car. Don't stop because you got 2 jobs. Try to get you your own business. Try to get you your own company. Listen to those baby boomers. The ones who are just around because you've made it. And then they say, well, I gave you advice. I helped you when no one else helped you. I was there when you got your first girlfriend. I was there when you first got laid. I was there when you first got married. Them are the ones you need to watch out and be careful for. Because those we call opportunists. Where they're just there because they see you have something and they think they want it and they think they should have it. Even though you put in all the hard work and the dedication, they still want to be a part of your success. Now, the ones who tell you don't stop trying to accomplish stuff, those are the real baby boomers. Those are the ones you should really listen to. The ones who tell you just because you're rich and famous, don't stop. Just because you got married and you got kids, don't stop. Always keep changing, always evolving. Those are the real baby boomers. The ones who are there because you made it, watch out for them. If they follow you everywhere you go, you need to watch out for them. You see how Nipsey Hussle had what happened to him, right? That is a case of what I'm talking about. See, in the next one, I'm going to talk about gang banging because I have to explain the gang banging element. This series can't be finished and completed without me explaining the game banging element to it. Because you got to talk about why the old school gangsters try to teach the new school gangsters how things should go. And you see, I'm not trying to say I'm a bad man, but I'm pretty strong that I believe that, in my opinion, and I say my opinion, that I do believe that the reason why he's not here might have something to do with that. So this was to explain the money and the respect and the power concept. Because you have to understand that what they're trying to do is extract resources from other generations that they did not work themselves to get. And you have to be aware of that. Until then, peace.